This time at the Quick Speed Shop, check it out. I've got my 46 Studebaker M5 truck in the shop. Most of you guys probably haven't seen this because I haven't done hardly any videos on it. I did a walk around video of it maybe a year ago or so, 2 years ago. This is the truck I've owned the longest. I've had this truck for over 30 years. It's been on the road for 25 years. It ain't done yet, but it's been around like all my girlfriends. And I'll show you why it's in here, and let's start talking about it. Here we go. It's Studebaker video day today here at the Quick Speed Shop. Ooh, I love the Rockford files. Jim Rockford is awesome. This is the vehicle that I've owned for the longest in my entire life. My dad gave it to me when I turned 13 or 14. I want to say it was either 1993 or 94. I want to say 93. So what's that? 31 years ago? He got it, my uncle bought it in like 1969 out of Pennsylvania. And then my dad got it from my uncle, and he had it up on the stock height suspension in the 70s, and it got put in the storage in the late 70s all the way to 1993 when I started working on it. And from 93 to 99, I got it not looking exactly like this, but got it on the road, and it was in gray primer, and it's pretty much been on the road ever since 1999. It's not finished. It's faded. It's 85% there, but I've put over 30,000 miles on it. It's been all over the East Coast. It's been to the Studebaker Museum, which is the old factory plant in South Bend, Indiana. The old museum, not the new museum. It was at the old museum. Someday maybe I'll take it back to the new museum. But it's a 46 M5 half-ton. Original tailgate. This is the original green here, that dark green, bluish green color from the Studebakers. Not the original box. This box I put on here a few years ago. It's off a late 30s Dodge, and I widened it. But it's the Bud style bed made by like Bud Wheel Company. Back in the day, that's a Bud bed. Dodge and Studebaker shared a bed, but they were a little bit different dimensions. The rest of the sheet metal is pretty much original. My dad and I louvered the hood way back in the day. It's got a Camaro front clip. It's lowered down. It's got a Dodge 8 3/4 rear end in the back. Originally, I parted out of 66 Plymouth. It had the Poly 318 V8 in it, which I still have. It was out of my great-grandmother's car, and we cut it up and built this truck with it. But now, there's an AMC 6-cylinder in it. But the reason it's in the shop is this thing is towing my dragster to the Piston Powered Show in Cleveland, Ohio, the first week of April. I think April 5th through the 7th or 4th through the 7th, whatever weekend that is. And my friend Ted and I are going in this thing 5 hours towing the trailer. So I've got to get through it here and make sure everything's good. It's got a couple of things that need some attention. I'm going to change the oil and go through it, check the wheels, grease everything up. I don't know what the heck this is. I think it's tree sap or bugs or something. But anyways, this is just painted Rust-Oleum flat black, and you can see actually the cab is painted like some black enamel, and it's coming apart. It's the roof is all, something happened to the roof. It wasn't like this like 2 years ago, and now it's all like scratched to holy hell. I don't know what happened to that, or wrinkled up, but that's old black enamel. The rest of the flat black is Rust-Oleum Professional, and it's been multiple years out in the sun, and it's faded to like gray, and it's actually coming through. I can see through to the primer, especially like here. It's like burned right down. So we're gonna wipe this thing down with like wax and grease remover here in a little bit. Not in this video, but in a couple videos. Clean it up, just mask it real fast, and reshoot it all black so it's all one color. And the problem is, I said I put this on the road in 1999 in epoxy primer, and it went for years and years in gray epoxy primer. Then I painted it, but the epoxy, here's the epoxy here. The epoxy was so hard by that time from being out in the sun that the paint didn't adhere very good, and it's slowly chipping off. I've actually stripped all the paint, was chipped on a cowl. Like here you can see more of it's chipping off there and chipping off. So this whole thing needs to be sanded back down to bare metal, or really rough up the epoxy. Had the bodywork finished and reseal it with sealer, and then it's going to be painted the original style green eventually. But for now, it is what it is. But it's full of chips in the paint and stuff, and just been a driver. The inside is filthy. It's got a minivan seat. I built a custom dash for it when I was doing like a 90s style street rod here in the dash. This is original dash. I welded it all up and built all the stuff, put these gauges in. I bought those in 1993 at York, Pennsylvania at the NSRA Nats East for $210. That was a lot of money for a kid that was like 13 or 14 years old back then. But they're still in the truck. Got a Chevette column, tilt Chevette column with a Jeep Grand Wagoneer steering wheel. Put that in there, and it is what it is. I made a rear bumper with a hitch. Bam, truck. So I made a mistake of putting bear claw door latches in it, because what did you do in the 90s? All the magazines, got to have bear claws, got to be safe. Now I will say bear claw latches are safe. That's why cars run, that style latch now. But they're a pain. They put it in here. I have door seals on there, actually door seals on the cab and stuff. But these doors rattle like crazy. And I've tried putting tape on here and stuff like that. Anyways, the problem is, originally the door handle here, it's the original door handle, original paint, original interior color. There's a bar that goes down across the door, and it would hook into this latch, and you'd push to open the door there. And I gutted these latches out, which was a mistake. Then for years and years and years, I only had this one set. Now I've cut up a few of these trucks out of the junkyard in the meantime, so I've got some more door latch parts now. But the bear claw, I cut the fit in here. Right through here is where the door handle goes. And I didn't have any way it interferes with the door latch, so I never had the door handles on it. And if you know anything about Studebaker trucks, 41 to 48, the door handles in decent shape are like impossible to find. I've looked for years and years, and the only reason I have some now, this is actually my truck, didn't even have matching Studebaker door handles on it. It had a Ford door handle on one side and a Studebaker on the passenger side. The driver's side one broke, and they just put a Ford one in it, because these things are impossible to find. I've looked for everywhere. So I've got about four or five good handles now out of like 4 trucks I've cut up for parts. They're usually junk. So what I want to do is get these installed here and modify the latch that I made to get the door handles to work. So we're going to take the latch out. I'm going to cut the top of this out of the way so the handle can stick through. Let me show you. These just attach with a set screw in the back, and they fit the door. And this one's got some rattle to it, a little rust, but they come through here, through the hole. They've got embossed on the back, so they fit the hole in the door. And they would go through, the original latch had a tumbler in here that we'd run all the stuff. So they go through here, and then you put the screw through the door right there. So I'm thinking, now that this is in here, you can't turn it because it hits that part of the latch there. So we're going to cut that latch part out of the way. But I think if I make some kind of arm that attaches this somehow, maybe drill this and put a screw in it or something. But I want to put an arm that's on this, and then it'll go, and when you turn it, it'll push down on this and operate the door latch. I think that'll end up working. I would really like to put the original style latches back in the truck, but one of the things I did is I welded a plate in here to put this in, and I'm pretty sure I butchered the original holes where the original striker plate would go. So I'd have to cut this out of the door jamb and weld a piece from one of my parts cabs into it, which is doable. I just don't want to get into cutting the cab up right now. Let's take this door latch out. I see there's supposed to be 6 screws. I've only got 4 in it for whatever reason. Probably because I didn't have enough. I think they're fine thread quarter 20s. Well, actually, they're not fine thread, they're coarse thread. That looks like it's not quarter 20, that's like 1024, I think. Anyways, maybe I'll find some more. They're kind of chewed up here. Hoop. There we go. Now I sandblasted this entire truck, and this truck was very, very solid because it had been off the road since like 1969, so it wasn't that old to begin with, but the original box wasn't kind of beat up and like an idiot. I scrapped it as a kid and made a custom box because it was the 90s and I was building a 90s street rod truck out of it. It had Cadillac taillights and a welded up tailgate and all this other stuff, and I ended up getting rid of all that and went back to original, and I've since got some original Studebaker boxes, but they're all pretty rough, so this Dodge box I found was the best one I had that would work, so I modified that to work. But we gotta do some more on that in a future video. But let's get this latch out and check it out. I forget what I did here, but we're gonna find out right now. Aha. See, I like butchered in this slot. You know, I did this as a kid. I was like 14, 15 years old doing this. Butchered in this slot to clear. Oh, look at this. I forgot I did that. I welded this all up. So there's a striker plate and a tumbler here on the latch. So I completely gutted the whole inside of this door thing and bolted in these bear claw latches. But I think, yeah, this is just rolled over and stamped here. So we can just cut the top of that out. Ooh. It'll just clear, I can see in there, it'll just clear the door handle where the door handle comes through. Butchery at its finest. But that's what you did back in the day. You're building a street rod and you cut things and make things fit. These are aftermarket latches. I don't know whose they are. Who knows? I'm sure I bought them at like one of the car shows. But that slot is kind of nasty. The glass is right there too. Great. Surprised that doesn't hit that. So you can see these are just generic where you got a little arm sticking through. I wonder if we can, I'll show you how they work. They go like here. Hoop. You know, you shut the door and it goes, you know, latches down like that and then pops open. Well, I just went on a scavenger hunt because I knew I had a rusty bucket of internal door parts that came out of a truck I bought at least 10 years ago. Actually, I sold the cab to my buddy and I put different doors on it, so I got the parts from the other doors because I saved them because they're a little bit better. And I knew I had it in my back junk room, which used to be a parts room. Now it's like a complete hoarded out disaster. And I went and I found it. A rusty bucket of Studebaker parts. And the best thing, I found a lock tumbler that was in another box but came from the same stuff. This is a Studebaker truck lock tumbler. And just like all the other 40s and 30s cars, there's only one lock on the passenger side because for safety, they would only put the lock on the passenger side so you wouldn't have to stand in the road and unlock your door. You'd come to the passenger side and unlock it on the curb where it's safer. But this is original steel Studebaker one with the key cover there. And it's Studebaker specific. And let's see if it'll go in here. Oh, it's going. It's going. Look at that. This hasn't had, see, my truck, or this truck, didn't even have a lock cylinder in it when I worked on it. It just had the hole in the door, so I've never had a lock cylinder. They got lost back in the 60s or 70s. My dad probably took it out, and it got lost. But so this is the first time it's had a lock cylinder in the door in probably 50 years. 74, 75 to 2024, that's 50 years. First time it's had a lock cylinder in the door in 50 years. That's unbelievable. So this handle right now is just sitting in here. It can't turn because of that latch. I haven't cut this one down yet, but how awesome is that? It's so awesome. I can't believe it, but I got to. I'm looking right at it. So back to our rusty bucket of nonsense over here. This is door trim. And just about every Studebaker had the tan interior door trim. There's two of those. That one, this bucket got in the rain. These are... What in the world happened to that? Looks like bullet holes. It is bullet holes. Huh. Anyways. This is a window track. These are the... this is the windshield stainless, which I need one of these. So being 90s street rod, I didn't use a gasket when I put this windshield in. I had glass cut bigger than the original glass, and I urethaned it to the outside of the lip where the rubber would go, because it was real hard to find rubber for this thing back in the day when I did it in the 90s. This is before the interwebs. And as you can see, the glass is all delaminating, and it's actually come loose. The glue, I can push the glass. But I want to get original gasket for this. When I get this truck ready to paint, I want to take this glass out. Plus, I made it out of tinted gray glass, and it's a bear to see in the dark with this thing. So I want to put clear glass in it. I got tinted glass all the way around, but I want to put clear glass in the windshield again. What I started to tell you is I V-butted it like they did in the 90s with silicone here, just so there's no center strip. But it should have this stainless steel center strip that goes rubber to rubber like this, and then the ends of it touch the rubber gasket. So I want to put this back in. You can actually buy repop windshield glass on eBay, or I'll have my glass guy cut it for me, one of the two. But I'm going to put this stainless steel back in the center of the windshield, and then I would like to get like a Fulton visor, which you need the centerpiece because it's got a foot down to push on here. I want to run a Fulton visor on this truck eventually. This actually looks in really nice shape. Couple of cracks in the rubber, but no dents or nothing. That's in decent shape there. Unfortunately, this is the piece that goes on the back side, and that got crunchy and rusty, but the rubber is in really nice shape. So hopefully I can clean that up. I'm going to set those aside. Need those. Another piece of... One of these might be cab trim too, but I wanted to dig it out. Here's the original door latches so you can see what these look like originally. They had the tumbler here and the deal that rides around. Let's see, is it upside down? There we go. So this is the passenger side. So it's got the tumbler, and then this piece here is what keeps the door rattling because it's spring-loaded on the receiving piece that goes in here and latches, and that keeps your door from rattling. So you can see what I did is I cut all the guts out of the one to put that bear claw latch in there, but the door handle, the door handle, if I can set this down so you can see it, the door handle comes through here and pivots this action, which is also run off the inner door. And then the lock mechanism is here for locking the door to lock it out. So we're going to spray these down with lube. Don't threaten me with a good time. Oh, look, here's another. We got multiple truck parts here. Because here is another interior stainless piece. That one's all rusty. This one's mint. Holy moly. There we go. So that'll go on there. Boom. So now I got to mint one of those. This is for the window trim. The window, like a 40 Ford, the window trim rolls up and down with the glass here. You see this here? This is the driver's side. And it goes up and down. So when most cars, this would be fixed with your wing vent. But on Studebaker trucks and like 40 Fords, they roll down here. Then when you open your wing vent, you got the full action, which is super cool. So one of these extra. And then we got, ooh, this one's broke. This is the driver's side. Somebody torched this. Ooh, this looks all set up too. Somebody wrecked this one. Where the door handle goes, it's all busted apart. They couldn't get the door open and they wrecked it. Oh, here's the other stainless that goes with that rustier one. I bought 2 trucks from this guy and they're all apart. This is why. So that goes with that one. And here's the other window piece. Or is this? Nope, that's the other window piece. Got door hinges. Ooh, they're super rusty. Look at that. Pitted to holy crap. Oh, here's the hood hinges. Unfortunately, this bucket was full of water. Hood hinges here. And then the lower door hinges. Ooh, look how rusty those were. Holy cow. Oh, I need that. That's the lock tumbler lock mechanism. Set that there. So what I did with this cable is I replicated this. these little felt pieces go and ride down here so it doesn't vibrate. But this guy bolts on here. This goes on the door handle, and the thing goes like this, and then when you pull the door, it pulls on this part, which actuates the action. So you can see what I did. I just cut mine up to work. Your key, look at that. Little spring-loaded deal right there. Keep your keyhole nice. What? No way. What? No way. Closes, opens. Closes, opens. So what I did is I made a little piece of flat stock right here. You see that? And I took and like I said, I drilled and I used where is it? This little square file right here. Boop, boop. And I drilled a 5/16 hole. Then I just, what do you call it? Filed the edges square so it fits just over this. It's just a touch sloppy. I wish it was a little bit tighter, but the end of this was a little deformed. I didn't realize it, so it's pretty close. But then it just comes down and it bolts onto that arm where I used to have the one sticking out. And now when you push down here, it's a little sloppy because there's nothing to hold this from moving around, but it pushes down on the lever. So you close it, the door handle's there, and then just a little, whoops, and then just a little click and she opens up. And she closes, and then click, it opens up. So I went, and this driver's side latch that was broken there, I showed you a minute ago, I took the arm off for the interior door handle here. Am I doing this right? Yeah, I want that. Get on there. And this is how the rod would work. It would pull and operate the latch there. So I'm going to try to figure out if I make a 90-degree piece of sheet metal bent back that can bolt onto this and bolt like through a bolt here, then onto here, I should be able to make this pull and reverse the action and open up the door from the interior. Here to have this interior handle work like this. That would be nice, so I could actually have the interior door handle be functional with the outside door handle. So I'm thinking about that, but it is a major bonus to have the door handle function from the outside. Because now we can have that go there, and this is a little loose, but it'll just kind of ride wherever, and then it opens up just like that, just like that. Okay, it's a couple days later, and I've been thinking and tinkering, and I figured out, I had an epiphany, aha, and I figured out what to do here. I'm going to show you how it works in a second. I've got the bar on here, and I realized that the interior door handles are identical except left to right. So I swapped them. Instead of being a pull that was this way and you would pull it to open the door. Oh, wait, no, I'm sorry. You would push it ahead to open the door. I swapped them left to right. So now you pull to open the door. And I was able to then very easily modify the linkage and make it work. I didn't have to end up modifying this stock door bar, whatever you call it, at all. I just drilled out or ground off the rivet that held it to the original latch and then drilled it out to 1/4 inch. And my bar piece I'd made for the door handle, I just welded on a 90-degree piece of the identical flat stock here. So now if I latch the door, I also had to carve out this section that really doesn't do anything to get some room. But now you pull on, instead of pushing ahead like it did originally for the original door, you pull on it and it goes click and it unlocks the door from the inside now. And there isn't very much action because this is such an easy click to open this door latch, open the bear claw. It would be nicer if it had just a little more travel because it's pretty fast throw. But I could have made it shorter, but up here I didn't know if the leverage, if it would want to try to push it here. I need some of this angle to push it. So anyways, it works it. So it opens the door there. It's got that much movement. So now we have functional exterior door handle. Then we have, where is it? Interior door handle. Boom. Works great. Works great. So, bam, that's it. Now I can have original door handle action. I'm just going to paint this little piece black, clean it up. I just got some regular nuts on here. I'm going to use little 1/4 bolts. I'm going to use nylock nuts so I can leave them just a little bit loose. I'll put some grease between all this stuff so the thing won't want to bind up. But essentially, I've made it work. I'm going to look for some more. I think they're 12-24 screws. I'm going to look for some more screws so I can put 4 screws in here and I have these 2. But the door latch, it's still, this plate is super strong. It's as good as it was, even cutting this extra little bit out. And the best part is now you can buy reproduction door panels for these trucks now, which are essentially just cardboard. Or I can make my own door panel out of Luan or that 1/4-inch plastic material, then get it upholstered and whatever material I want. But it'll essentially, once I trim this door handle flush, everything will fit behind the door panel. All the stock door guts and everything will work. And we have bear claw latches that are safer. So I guess my butchery as a teenager 30 years ago, I was able to come back later in life and figure it out and make it work. So I'm pretty happy with this. To have door handles, interior and exterior, is freaking awesome. We're going to finish out the video. I want to do one more thing here. This bed, there should be a panel that goes between here, and I didn't have it because I didn't have the original bed, and this Dodge one actually only came down to here because the Dodge bed was different. So we're going to make some new ones, and they're essentially just flat. There's a lip here, there's a couple of bolts. It uses 1/4 bolts. They'll come down, I'll roll a front edge on it, and it just floats over the running board here, and then goes back and attaches to the fender. So essentially I just got to bend up a piece that's, I think it's like 24 inches long by 7 inches tall, and it'll bolt. If I can fill the bolt holes, there's one. There's one right there in the stake pocket, and make those panels and fog them black. I thought about shooting some flat black on the bed here too, but I mean it's all pitted and I don't think there's really any reason to waste the paint painting that. It's just going to be is what it is, and I kind of like having the original paint on that part of the box. Eventually I'll get this all sandblasted and fill the pits. It's going to need a skim coated filler to fill all the pits in the metal and smooth it out and paint it nice. But for now I think we'll just leave it. You can see the original GVW paint. Somebody had this on a Dodge, painted in gold, the New York State GVW numbers. You'd put I think the unladen weight of the truck, the gross weight of the truck, and then the payload is what it would have said on there. It's the next day. I'm working on those panels for the under the bed. I've got a piece of sheet metal here. I think it's 20 gauge, which is a little bit lighter than I wanted to use. I wanted like 18, but I couldn't find a piece big enough. So we're gonna have to work with what we got here. If I got room. Whoops, everything is a disaster here. Hold on a minute. I got room to run the thing now. Almost. All right, here we go. So I'm gonna put one big bend in there. If you're wondering why I got this awesome 4-foot sheet metal brake, I made it. Go back on the channel. It's one of the more popular videos. See how I made it. It's 4 feet wide, or actually 49 or 50 inches wide. I had a Harbor Freight one and it was terrible. It would come apart. This thing will bend like 18 gauge over 4 feet, and it would do 16 gauge quite a ways. It doesn't make a real tight bend, but guess what? It's going to be good enough for, it's better than not having one. I guess I could have cleaned the sheet metal up before I bent it, but nope. So now, let's see. I want to put which one are we? Actually, now we're making the passenger side because I bent it the wrong way. Oh, whatever. So I've got to cut a corner out of here so I can fold this other piece over. I'll probably have to do that in a vise because this is not a finger brake, and there's no way to bend it once you got another piece on here. So let me, let's see, trim that, trim that. Let me notch that out real fast, and we'll bend that up like that. Actually, being 20 gauge or whatever this is, it bends really easily. Let me, you guys are right in the way. Can't see. I'll just take the welder and I'll just buzz this corner together on the inside. We'll feel that up, but now we've got our piece. We got a front edge on there. Look at that. Now this guy should come right under here. Something like that. Oh yeah. Boom. And it'll bolt on. Look at that. Perfect. Well, you know what? This barely hangs over the fender in the back, so I don't think I got to trim that square edge off. I just need to get under here and figure out where my bolt holes are. This truck is kind of low, so this is a little hard, but man, I been running for however many years without this lower panel on here, and I wish I made it a long time ago because it looks 1,000 times better than that wide open gap. Look at that. That's awesome. Awesome. Uh-oh. I gotta trim a little of this off. It's hitting the lip on the running board. I'll take it back on the Beverly shear and I'll leave like a 1/2 inch gap here, or a 1/2 inch lip, and I'll trim it back up to clear that. But this, for the 2 seconds it took to make this, why don't I ever finish anything? You know what? Because I got it on the truck and then I got in a rush and started building something else and never finished it. This Piston Powered Show in Cleveland is making me take the time to fix tons of things on this truck that I never had right on it, like the door handles and this panel, and actually off camera changed out the speedometer because the odometer quit working about 4 years ago, and I just been guessing at the mileage, and then I finally found one. Actually, I took the one apart and I tried to fix it, and the odometer axle had seized right up in the housing. So there wasn't really any fixing that. I couldn't get it apart. So I luckily had a brand new speedometer, same style. So I put it in there. You know, just keep track of the mileage and add it to what, you know, it was on the truck. So that's not a big deal. So I got that fixed and a bunch of other things. But this panel makes the bed look 1,000 times better. I'll say that. Why didn't I do it in the first place? All right, it's a couple hours later. I got my panel painted here, flat black. And this is the hard part because the truck is so low to the ground. Can I get it installed? Here I got some short quarter 20 bolts and nuts. And let's see if we can slide it up in here. Boom. Without scratching it. I gotta use a spotlight, get on the back side because I can't see nothing. What I do see is my pinion seal is leaking quite a bit on my rear end. I have to fix that at some point here. Oop. They barely give you any lip to bolt your action together here. Hopefully my holes are drilled where they got to be drilled. Can't see nothing. Oh boy. Sounds like I'm hitting the microphone. So if you guys, sorry about that. So there we go. Just got to put the rest of the bolts in here. Obviously you can see this is original black paint on here, so it's not going to match, but it'll match the rest of the truck. But it's a lot better having that gap filled in with that lower panel than it was just open. There it finishes it up. I'll get the rest of the bolts into there. But really good progress here on the old Studebaker in this video. I got my door handles working inside and outside, which is a huge bonus, because like I said, it's been almost 30 years since this thing had the door handles taken off it. Probably 1994, 95 is when I would have put them bear claw latches in. Probably. So, yeah. 2024 to 1994, that's 30 years. So, close to it. But we've got door handle action. I also went off camera and vacuumed it out a little bit here. Like I said, I replaced my speedometer. I showed you the gauges earlier. These are VDO gauges. I happened to get some gauges from a guy, and he had a brand new VDO speedometer, no miles on it. So I stuck that in there. I ran it around on the drill to make sure it worked out. A couple of miles on there. But as you can see on the inspection sticker, 34,500. And I was just guessing at that because the old one broke at 28,000. So I just put plus 34,000. That'll get me close enough here. But we'll start recording mileage again, which is a bonus. Eventually, I'll be, like I said earlier, I'll be putting the original or an unmodified original dashboard back in here, where actually the gauges were in a panel that went here, and they had a little sweep gauge, and then there was like a panel here, radio would go in the center. There's a glove box here. I added this panel. I welded the glove box shut. I made this panel down here. I made this panel down here. I welded all this and all the way across, made like a smooth like 90s street rod dash out of it. But I have like 3 or 4 original dashboards now, and I had a couple of them sandblasted. All of them need a little bit of rust repair, but I will be putting original style dash back in this truck eventually. I'll probably reuse these gauges in a panel down here under the original dash, and then just use the original speedometer here instead of this one. But anyways, that's good to go. So we fixed that. We got our panels on. Next time we're going to start, what are we going to do? Actually, I think next time we're going to build this tonneau cover. I got to get the aluminum panel for here to make the thing. I've got something I'm going to use for that. I already started moving things around. I vacuumed all the dirt out of the box because they had a bunch of stones and rust and garbage from just using this as a work truck. We'll build the framework. I'll make the tonneau cover for it and get that going. And then we're going to work on getting this thing painted. I'm going to scuff it all up. I've been trying to get all this goo off of here. I wiped a little bit of lacquer thinner on here, and it took whatever this is off. It's tree sap, or I don't know what it is, but cleaned that up a little bit. And actually, I got to clean this edge up where I had like a rubber, like a door seal edge stuck on here. I don't know why I did that back in the day. I just did, but I got to sand that back. This hood has never been body work, so there's a couple of dings in it here and there. But we'll be scuffing the whole thing up, masking off, and shooting it with some new flat black. I got the Turbo Can. Check it out, Turbo Can. I haven't used these, but I've seen them on YouTube, on the interwebs, and it's going to be super crazy. But for painting something this big, this is what we're going to want. And since it's flat, it's going to be awesome. I don't know about shooting one of these at gloss. Maybe they work out good for people, but the Israel can. But for shooting this flat, like I shot this with regular rattle cans, but we're going to try the Turbo Can. See how it works out. So I can't wait to try the Super Can, Turbo Can there. But we're going to feather some things back, get this cleaned up the best I can, just shoot it black. Paint it black, hit the track. I probably won't paint the rear fenders. They've been touched up more recently than the front. You can see they're still pretty black. Not as black as that, but that'll chalk up a little bit here. But we'll scuff it and shoot it, take the door handles back off, shoot the whole thing, and make it a little bit more presentable for the upcoming show. Thanks for watching. First of a couple videos on my 1946 Studebaker M5 truck. And we got to get this thing ready to go to Cleveland in a couple weeks for the Piston Powered Show. So if you're going to be at that, at the Cleveland airport, the Summit Racing Piston Powered Show, I think it's April 5th through the 7th, I guess, whatever it's that weekend, first weekend in April. I'll be there with my Studebaker. My friend Ted will be with me, and we'll have the dragster on the trailer behind the Studebaker displayed in the hot rod room. I've never been there, but before, so it'll be cool to go to that show. I've heard good things about it. and be in Don Meyer's hot rod room there. So come say hi. I'll have stickers and stuff. If you're in the Cleveland area, want to go to that show, we'll be there. Knock on wood, we'll be there. This truck hasn't let me down in almost 30 years, so we should be there. Thanks for watching. We'll see you next time. Don't forget to subscribe, leave a comment. We'll see you next time sprucing up the Studebaker here at the Quick Speed Shop.